Hi, and welcome to the Modern Persian Food Podcast. We are food bloggers,
Bita Arabian
and Bita Nazim Kelly, and we're here to share with you the rich flavors and fresh ingredients of Persian cooking and how to incorporate them into today's modern lifestyles.
We're excited to introduce you to the flavors, tastes, and techniques we use, and also our own cultural stories and perspectives growing up in the U.S. in a Persian family. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode number 82 of the Modern Persian Food Podcast. Bita and I would like to welcome two fun guests today, Mikey and Rinne from Mikey and Rinne Eat podcast. And we are going to be talking about Persian food and also Mikey's experience with cooking Persian food for the first time as part of the Dinner Bell promotion that we helped out with. So Mikey and Rinne, welcome to the show.
Hey.
Well, hi there.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Bita June, thank you as always for being a great partner in our show. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the Dinner Bell program that we worked on recently and some of the videos that we shared on our Instagram handle so people know a little bit more about what we were doing?
Hi. Yeah, absolutely. So I got to know Mikey as correct me if I'm wrong, Mikey, a chef consultant who was a liaison.
Indeed.
And I was approached to help out as an expert in Persian food and provide expertise in menu planning. And so Dinner Bell is a startup in the Bay Area where I live, and they just launched and decided to involve the community in their menu offerings. So I pulled Bita June in as my wonderful partner in all things Persian food. And we helped to curate a menu as part of this limited time offer. And maybe, Mikey, now you can tell us what your role was in all of that.
Yeah, totally. So I work as a chef innovation consultant, or culinary innovation consultant is technically kind of my title. And so I work with companies to help them make all new delicious products. And I'm kind of like a Willy Wonka for hire. So if you want to make some like cool food that nobody's ever seen before, I kind of come in and I'm like fun dad and we make a bunch of delicious stuff together. So working with Dinner Bell, it's kind of like a blue apron, but you order food that's delivered to your house, but it's already ready to go. So it's heat and eat food, and it's based out of Palo Alto. So we have kind of the core of the menu is things that we're like kind of always make, and our chef in Palo Alto makes this really delicious kind of core menu. But then every month or every 2 weeks, kind of depending on the product, we want to bring in cool local people that are making awesome food or super seasonal stuff. And we came across Bita and just were like, it would be so fun to highlight Persian cuisine for a limited time offer. So we designed a menu together, and then it launched to all the customers of Dinner Bell. And I think people have been loving it. It's so different too. It was like kind of the core components of the menu that we made together were kind of approachable, but the ingredients that the specifically like Persian flavors that were highlighted, I don't know. I just think we're really wonderful for customers, and things that like rose water, things that people hadn't had a lot of, or saffron, things that maybe people had heard of, but not really incorporated into their family's diet. So it's just really fun to work with Bita on that.
It was really meaningful to me personally, and just to be able to share it with my neighbors and my family, really surreal. My mother-in-law and people were ordering things that I have been working on. And
so fun.
Yeah. So the weirdest thing was that I think that the cupcakes are better than I make them.
You're welcome.
I wanted to order a dozen of them.
Oh, awesome.
And I'm like, am I going crazy? Like, I want to order a dozen of my own cupcakes.
I'm so glad to hear that.
It was supposed to be a 2-week limited time offering. Then they said, let's do it a month. It's going over so well. Everyone's loving it. Let's do it for 2 months. So it's still going on at the time of this broadcast. So yeah, it was kind of like a grassroots effort. Everyone I met, I was giving them the promo card. You got to try this. You got to try this. You got to try this.
That's so fun. And throughout my career, I've had some projects that I've worked on that, launched and were kind of nationwide things that you could see and eat in places. And I must admit, I was going into stores and being like, I made this thing with Jimmy Dean sausages and I'm going to buy it now. And it's like, I'm giving myself the biggest pat on the back.
Yeah, it's very gratifying.
The other reason it was so super meaningful is that I think most people know, maybe that listen to us, that Bita and I are in different locations. And this started out as a very early pandemic partnership where we've only gotten together in person a handful of times, up in Golden Gate Park or, one time in my backyard. And So this brought us together for 24 hours, and we had this really cool video content capture thing. So how was that for you, Bita? Jen actually had you down to our secondary location where I'm now in Orange County. So how was that for you?
Yeah, it was great. It was great. And, at the end of it, it felt like you and I had just thrown a big party together, really. Because what we did was we were able to showcase the items that were on the special limited time menu. And it was right around Nowruz, the Persian New Year. So we were able to have a half scene in front of us. You pulled together such a beautiful half scene and have all this really great food. And so it was actually like a really fun time that we were able to celebrate the New Year a little bit early and also really showcase all of the like great things and great flavors of Persian food. So for anyone who hasn't had an opportunity to see the videos, they're live on our Instagram page. But also, let's just talk about what was on the menu. So, we've talked about tahchin a bunch on this podcast, and it's like one of our favorites. And tahchin typically can come in like a really big casserole version. But on this menu, there were like these little tahchin cups, basically. So little individual sized cups of this saffron rice and with this beautiful crust tahdig on the outside of it, garnished with barberries and almonds. And it was like super fun and like really great as one of the items on the menu. All of these items were really like great for kind of people who maybe weren't that familiar with Persian food in general. So it was a nice introduction to Persian food, I think, with some of like the fundamental flavors of the cuisine for people to kind of try out. So there was the rice tahchin cups, there was juja kebab, which is skewered chicken with grilled, always so lovely, always so delicious. There was grilled vegetables, and then the Yazdi cupcakes that you were talking about, Bita June, which are like such a favorite for so many people.
So yummy.
So Rinne, were you able to sample all of this stuff as Mikey was recipe testing?
Bita, are you kidding me? Do you think I walked into the kitchen and smelled all of those flavors and then walked out? No, I was over his shoulder the whole time he was preparing. Like, can I just taste? Can I try? The like yogurty deliciousness of the kebabs was one of my favorite things, and then the barberries, which I had never had before. I have a really strong affinity for like kind of soury flavors.
Yeah,
exactly.
It was like just dancing on my tongue. It was so fun. And I just feel like it was every single flavor that I would ever want. I got like a little sour. I got a little spicy. I got a little creamy. It was salty. It was just everything. And then to finish it off with those just gorgeous little cupcakes. It was, I don't know. It was a real delight. And it was so fun to watch the preparation and especially smell the preparation. It was just, the spice was beautiful.
In our house, we can't get enough acid. So just everything,
Totally.
we go through probably 20 lemons a week. And so to have the chicken that was marinated in the yogurt and I don't know, there was just so many elements. And then Corinne, I am not the biggest rose fan. I'm kind of having to come around to the flavors of rose. But Corinne is like, she would bathe herself in rose, both from a skincare regimen and just all of the things. So it was her dream meal. There was a little bit of rose kissed everything and then saffron as well. And just like, I don't know, Rinne was in love.
Also, I am an acupuncturist and herbalist. And so I know that you guys had someone on that recently talked about the kind of medicinal properties of the herbs that you use.
Yes.
And so a lot of those cross over into things that I use in my practice. So lots of cinnamons and gingers and turmerics. And so it's such a delight for me to eat things like that and then also think through, oh, look at this. What a gift I'm giving to my body right now.
Yay!
With all of these spices.
All of the senses.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
True.
Your taste and then the smell, of course, and
Textures.
yeah, and the beauty, food is art.
Sure.
And saffron is supposed to elevate and give you feelings of joy and lifespan, extend your life.
Yeah. So, Mikey, was this the first time that you actually cooked Persian food?
I mean, yes. Because I think, what ends up happening for a lot of like American cuisine, especially when it's, I go to the store that like where I'm going to buy all the like Middle Eastern flavors and different things. And I'm like, I'm going to cook Persian food. And in America, I feel like we just kind of, wash it all together. Like the Mediterranean, Middle Eastern food, it all becomes this monolith, right?
Right.
So I've cooked tahdig before and it's one of our favorite things in the house. And whether or not I've cooked it 100% traditionally, probably not. But like this was the first time that kind of start to finish which I cooked specifically with a Persian focus in mind or Persian flavor profiles in mind. But it's, a lot of the ingredients were like, I knew of them. It just hadn't been all specifically kind of together. And so, yeah, I mean, it was, I don't know, it was beautiful. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
And it's just how we want to eat anyways. And so it just happens to kind of like be our favorite type of food.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. Yeah, we were wondering that because you come from like a, a culinary background, and for someone like you to like try incorporating some of these Persian ingredients and making Persian food with Persian technique, we were wondering if there's anything that you can kind of like tell our listeners who are trying to cook Persian food maybe for the first time or getting introduced to Persian food, if there's any kind of like tips or anything that you can give them so that they can, have the confidence so that they can try it themselves too.
Sure. I mean, the thing that I just kind of tell people in general about cooking is that be inventive. A recipe is the guide to like, kind of keep you within the guardrails a little bit. But at the end of the day, food is about experimenting, right? So if you know that you love cinnamon and the recipe doesn't seem like it has enough cinnamon, add a little bit more. Some of the things that we cook together, like the tahdig, for instance, is one of those things where it's technique driven, right? I end up using like a moist towel that goes in between the lid and then the pot.
Yes.
So that it keeps the moisture in the rice. It's a kind of an essential thing because if you don't do that, you end up having rice that gets dried out and it kind of tastes like you're eating teeth. And is that referring to just the edge?
Yeah, the crust.
The crispy edge is the tahdig. Okay.
The literal translation of tahdig, dig is the pot, and means bottom, so it means
bottom
of the pot. And one of our guests, Naz Jaravian, is the author of a cookbook called Bottom of the Pot. So that's what it means.
Wonderful. I love it. And it also makes me think of the actor Taye Diggs, who's very attractive. And so I think about him while I'm cooking and I'm like, what if I cooked for him? Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Perfect.
But it's one of those like definitely technique driven things where if you don't do it right, it's not like the chef that's cooking it in Palo Alto. The first round that we did, he did it in the little muffin tins and he didn't cover them. And he was like, it's good, but it's like the rice got really, really dried out. And so once I had them cover it, it was like perfect.
Cover it. Now you need to teach me, Mikey.
Yeah.
You covered the muffin tin?
With foil, maybe, yeah?
Yeah, with foil. And I think he might have actually put a moist kitchen towel over the top of it and then wrapped it in tin foil.
So it kind of steams a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So it maintained the moisture on the top of the rice. The main thing for me, I think that I really love about, and I don't know if this is true about Persian cuisine, is that it's passionate, right?
Absolutely.
So like when I cooked the juja.
Yeah, the juja kebab. The first time I cooked it, I kind of cooked it on like a medium grill temperature. And then the second time I cooked it, I was like, no. I went blazing and we got it all charred on the outside. And it was just so sexy. I love that stuff. I mean, I grew up in an Irish family. Irish food is not sexy. Irish food is for like people that have had a little bit too much Guinness and they're like, I just want a good base layer of potatoes. Whenever I get cooking cuisine like this, it just makes me so excited because it's like, I feel like I'm instantly transported to like a beautiful sunny place where it's hot and I need acidity and brightness. And also like when we live in Portland, Oregon. And I went to the store that specializes in a lot of kind of hard to find ingredients and things. And you just walk in there and it's so much more fun than like a normal supermarket. It's just everything is bright and smelly and shiny and spicy and yummy and, slow cooking something, and so it was a week of my life this year that was like dedicated to this menu. And it was a very happy week. Yay. Awesome.
That's what we like to hear.
I was also thinking, Mikey, that, going to culinary school, which is like such a Francophile, it's so French focused. And it's like, your onions and your garlic and your butter and your, it must just be really exciting as somebody who not only loves food, but just does food for a living to like expand out of that. I don't know. It feels a little like constricting or something to really have to stick to that.
Yeah, and I went to CIA, the Culinary Institute of America in Napa Valley, great school, but we spent whole months on Italy and France, and then we would get to like Japan, and there'd be one day where we would be like cooking 10 different Japanese dishes, and like one group would maybe get to work on sushi or something. Like you can spend your entire life making sushi and not be perfect at it. Persian cuisine, I don't even remember even learning about it in culinary school, which to me is a travesty. Like that's something we should have really focused on these techniques and on these ingredients. And I think, the key part about the culinary world, and I would say say this to any listeners who are interested in cooking any sort of cuisine is, you know, become a mini expert in it. Like if you're going to make a dish, spend a little time like diving into the kind of Wikipedia history of things, or just, you know, go and find people on the internet. And you guys are such a great resource, you know, to really learn like what is the reason that this food exists? What are the reasons that these techniques are so specific? And I don't know, I just think there's such value in food because it is people, because it is history.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. I totally agree. I think like definitely approach it, trial and error, and really do your research, I think are like some great fundamentals of trying to cook Persian food and also any new cuisine. And then, you know, like the new flavors. So, you know, the saffron and the rose and some of those flavors that maybe aren't as mainstream or widespread. They're fun to kind of experiment with and adding them to your meals.
Totally.
Well, thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun. As you guys know, at the end of many of our episodes, we have a segment called Ask the Beats, where we take questions that our listeners send in, or since we have you guys here live with us, do you guys have a question for Bita and I that we can answer for you?
So we were talking about this over breakfast. So even just from the meal that we prepared together, we have some kind of leftover seasonings and spices that are in our kitchen that are so awesome, that like saffron spray that I would not have bought otherwise. And I'm so excited to have. So I think our question was something along the lines of, if there's one ingredient that we do not have in our kitchen, maybe that's Persian specific, but that we probably don't have in our kitchen, what's the thing? Like, what's the ingredient that we need? Because I know that I have certain ingredients that I'm like, if I don't have that in my kitchen, I'm at a loss. So is there something that you guys could suggest to us?
Oh, good question.
I have a suggestion just based on what you said earlier, that you guys like acid and sour, is dried lime, which we call Limoo Amani.
Oh, good idea.
Like powdered?
Well, it's ugly. It's brown and dry.
Love it already.
Yeah. And hard.
Yeah. You can order it online. Dried lime, Limoo Amani.
Cool.
They have a ground form too.
And do you grate it?
So the way that you typically cook it in stews is whole.
Cool.
Oh, stews. Cool.
You can rehydrate it with some boiling water. But typically, because Persian stews are braised or cooking for so many hours, they get soft, they poke holes in them, and the sour flavors go into the stew. But you can also just eat it.
Cool.
I eat it. And Bita, you've ground it, I think.
I bought the ground form. I haven't ground it myself. But yeah, the whole lime is like hard and dark. And so, yeah, like Bita was saying, you have to kind of like rehydrate it and then like also puncture holes in it with like a fork, and careful that you don't like stab your hand while you're doing it. But yeah, it just like gets all soft when you cook it for a long time and you can kind of eat it. It's very sour. So if you're not into sour, definitely stay away from that. But you can get the ground form.
Oh, we're into that.
And we had a guest stand up, Dan.
Oh, yeah. The dude who was from Cobra Kai.
Yeah,
exactly.
We saw the picture of him and Rinne was like, is that the dude from Cobra Kai? Like, awesome.
He actually puts it on his ramen. So that's kind of like a different flavor profile. So yeah, he's all about like kind of pushing ingredients where they're so unexpected.
Fun.
He says it tastes great. So I'm still looking forward to trying that myself.
This is going to be my new favorite.
Yeah, this sounds great.
So where can our listeners find you guys?
Yeah. So we're at Mikey and Rinne, so MikeYandRinne.com. Our show is called Mikey and Rinne Eat In, and we're available on all the podcatchers, all the platforms where people grab their pods. Oh, Instagram, we're at Mikey and Rinne. And we're just fun. We're around.
Yeah, you guys are great.
Traveling the country in our van.
Another fun thing is like we're actually going to be on your guys' show too. So looking forward to that. So people want to listen to that too. We have a bunch of different foods we're going to be tasting and sampling. So that'll be fun. So we'll connect to all of your links in our show notes so people can find you a little bit easier as well.
Perfect.
Thank you guys for taking the time and coming on a show and sharing your thoughts about Persian food and making it and eating it and the fun promotion that we worked on together.
Yeah.
So thanks again.
It was so fun. Thank you all.
Thanks for having us, you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. You've been listening to the Modern Persian Food Podcast with Bita and Bita. Thanks for spending time with us. If you've enjoyed what you heard today, consider telling a friend or giving us a good rating. You can subscribe to our show for free on your favorite podcasting app or find us online at modernpersianfood.com or on Instagram for the recipes and information we talked about today. We'd love to hear your thoughts and see you next time.